EP1, we're aero strikers and all girls F1 STEM racing team. Today, we're thrilled to have with us Divy Nandan, an accomplished F3 racer, who's here to share his journey in motorsport and speak about the importance of encouraging more women in STEM and racing. Welcome, Divy. We would like to thank you for giving us this time and opportunity. Could you start by telling us a bit about yourself and how you got started with Formula racing? What has your journey in the sport been like so far?
So, thing is, I was always into racing, but I started very late at the age of 18. That's because, in North India, there's not really a lot of opportunities that are given out or actually people know about. So, when I started just at a very, rental local place, and then, I got in touch with Nandan, the F1, first Indian F1 driver. And from there, he started an academy for me, and then, we did the whole roundup of doing karting and then moving to single seaters and then progressively going up the ladder. And yeah, I mean like the inspiration to do all of this was there from before. It's just that once the opportunity actually turned up, I made full use of it.
That sounds very impressive, and thank you for sharing that. So this is just a follow-up question. Was there a moment or a person that made you feel, yes, this is what I want to do?
Not exactly, but I think after a long time, I watched, I think, the Malaysian Grand Prix of 2017, and I watched Max Verstappen win that particular Grand Prix on his birthday, whatever. But like that was because they made a big deal about how he's the youngest winner and everything. So that sort of sparked the interest again, and after that I started poking my parents more, basically let me race.
That's very nice. That's quite impressive also. What you've achieved so far, it's very rare to see what you have done.
And since your mother is also a driver and we're an all-girls team in a largely male-dominated field, how do you see the role of women in motorsports evolving? Has her journey influenced how you view gender representation in racing?
Definitely, I think so. My mother started with me itself when I was an 18-year-old kid. So she also sparked the interest of being able to drive a car. So definitely, I think since then and since exactly when I started, there has been a lot of more growth for women in motorsports, especially in, to be honest, every sector. Now we have a dedicated championship F1 academy for all of this, which is run by all girls itself. And there is definitely a market and a lot of opportunities for girls as well to now progress through this whole field, which is generally like very very dominated. So yeah, I think the scope is quite big, and yeah, provided there's proper, let's say, progression made through the, let's say, ranks, because you can't straight jump to F1. You have to do F4, F3, and build that experience to get to F1. So yeah, I think once that is done properly, I think it's going to be very easy for women also to get in motorsport.
Was there ever a piece of advice she gave you that really stuck with you?
I think my mom, I mean, like, she most of the time, worrying about a lot of the other factors, but she tells me to more or less enjoy it rather than taking all the pressure, like, to perform and everything. Because since I've moved to Europe now for my racing, it's quite tough over there because of speed and competition. I've been there for like 2 3 years, but now straight jumping with no amount of testing at all, then it's quite hard, quite easy to basically take a lot of accountability and but not see the bigger picture. So she just tells me to enjoy it. So
That's great. Motorsports isn't a very common path in India. What made you choose it, and how did you decide?
it's honestly just cars from the beginning. I mean, I was always into cars, and at one point I thought that being into cars is different and being actually good is different. So I tried my hand at karting, and I turned out to be decent. So I was like, definitely I should give this a shot, and yeah, it's paying off decent now.
It worked out, right? Was there like a moment or like a person that made you feel, yes, like that's what I want?
I guess again that it refers back to that Malaysian race, F1 2017, the Malaysian Grand Prix, where Max quite comfortably won that race after starting I think fourth or fifth, and yeah, he just showed the pure talent that he had, and obviously putting it all together with the win. So yeah, I mean, I guess if you ask me the question that maybe what person sort of makes you inspire for all of this, I think it'll be Max Verstappen, because apart from his obviously behavior and demeanor, it's more or less his talent that I look forward to, and he is a perfect driver in a lot of sense. So yeah.
So, racing requires a significant investment of time and energy. How have you managed to balance your academic and personal life alongside your racing commitments?
Since, to be honest, since I started very late, like I told that, at the age of 18, I really started this professional racing. Before that, it was just, for fun and maybe trying to achieve something professionally. But then at 18, it really opened. So by 18, I almost finished my school. And then I actually took admission in a college in Bangalore, which sort of is, let's say, sports management related. So over there, I had a lot of liberty to, let's say, do my sport, but also do education side by side. So yeah, I think that really helped out because a majority of the time I was racing, so I was able to, let's say, balance the academic part as well. Maybe putting all nighters before an exam day, but no, I think that was about it, and yeah, I mean, it paid off well, I guess.
That's great. Could you maybe share any strategies that you might have used or habits that you might have developed over time to maintain this balance?
I think being able to segregate what is prioritized in terms of all the amount of stuff you have. I think I give more priority to fitness right now, or even back then when I was in college, I used to give more priority to fitness and let's say miss morning classes, go to the gym, then maybe attend after lunch, and then after lunch, after the classes after lunch, I would hit the gym again. So it was more or less physically focused towards that, and then to be honest, I didn't really study a lot in college, so I'm really the worst person to give advice upon that. But I think like just segregating what is prioritized more is basically your way to figure out how you can manage it.
Have there been any women racers who have particularly inspired you in your journey so far?
I think not a lot of people know about her, to be honest, because she's again trying to build her career all the way up. But I think in British F4 I had this let's say woman engineer who really helped me through let's say progressing through the let's say tough beginning of my British F4 career. Even though the thing is I jumped in mid-season after not doing the starting few rounds. So when I basically jumped in the season, it was about a lot of learning and trying to let's say how do I say process that and also execute. So she was able to properly help me through learning that, executing that, and systematically basically progressing on track. And it was not about let's say for her the one thing that I really liked about was that she told me to focus on the learning again and not the results, because once the learning is done and you execute well, the results are automatically going to come. So yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on women's participation in STEM fields in India, and how do you think we can further empower and support it?
I think there's been a lot of progress for STEM students in India for sure, and now this whole motorsports market is also opening because before all of this, motorsport wasn't exactly considered a sport to begin with, and now that it's an avenue where people can go. There's a lot of job opportunities for engineers, mechanical engineers, and a whole bunch of field where people can actually progress and make a career out of it instead of being just a regular engineer, to be honest. So
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of initiatives already, to be honest, being done. For example, there's a UMA boot camp that goes on. They do a lot of classes plus on-field work with students who sign up for them. And yeah, I think at the moment it's going in the right direction for people to be able to make a career.
And how's the participation of women in that? Is that
I think, the ratio is a little bit less right now because I didn't make a lot of friends over there, and I think out of 40 students, I think only 10 to 12 were women. But nonetheless, I think that's still a good number, but obviously it should be more equal. And no, but I think it's all about at the end of the day about interest as well. So the more people take interest, the more women will get into all of this. And but I think the scope is there, and it's not that it's going to be unfair or anything. So yeah.
So a lot of people see the final race, but not the preparation behind it. So what are some things about F3 racing people don't often know or understand? Like we talk about F1 these days, but what is something that is unique to F3 that many people don't know about?
I think when you say preparation, I think it's broadened into a lot of aspects, because when you're in F1, you're already been through that whole roundup of you being in F4, F3, and F2, and you're pretty used to that whole process now. So all you have to do is turn up and make sure you understand your car and just execute, drive properly. But for someone in going through F4, F3, and F2, I think for them preparation is more for key, because at the end of the day, if they want to achieve their goals, they have to properly align how again they're physically doing on and off track. They have to actually, not a lot of people do this, but how do I say, there are a lot of people who have managers and stuff. But for example, someone like me who doesn't have a lot of budget, so I do all my preparations to say looking out which team is the best for me, which championship is considerably the best championship for me to progress and learn a lot, and planning out everything on the championship side, and then obviously doing my prep, let's say on simulators, and doing prep on testings and stuff to make sure I am aware what to do on track. And yeah, I think apart from all that, I think mental aspect is also there, where you have to be mentally pretty strong in all of tough situations, because let's say even if you have a crash, for some people it's not a big deal, but then some people really take it to heart. So you need to find that sweet balance, I guess, where it doesn't sort of hamper you that much. So yeah, preparation is definitely a bigger key than anything when you're progressing through the ranks to F1.
And what would you say is the difference between F1 or F3? In the sense that many people start from F4, F3, and then gradually go to F1.
So let's say the reason of the progression from F4 to actually go karting to F4, F3, and F2 is that you can't just jump into F2 or F3, F1 car, to be honest, because it's something that not a normal human being sort of experience on a daily basis. And since F1 sort of runs weekend to weekend, and very rarely they do take holidays and stuff, so I think when you start from go-karting, you have a basic understanding about how a machinery a vehicle sort of feels like or behaves. Then F4 is a much bigger step again, because that's a proper vehicle now, and you are racing on bigger circuits with bigger consequences in a way. Like if you end up spinning or crashing or anything, and yeah, I think so. F4 to F3, it's all basically aerodynamic and power difference changes, but it ultimately leads you to understanding where you understand how let's say aerodynamics of a car works, how the threshold of a tire can last still, and ultimately everything is put in place to prepare you for F1.
What advice would you usually give to young people, especially girls who are looking to break into motorsports?
I think just one thing that the thing is, I'm also a coach for a karting team, and one thing that I always tell the younger kids is that make sure your basics and your learning is proper, because obviously having talent is different, but if you don't understand what you have to do and what you have to put together to execute what you're supposed to do, so that would make it more difficult, and might not actually pay out in the end. So I think making sure that you understand what you have to, let's say, do right to be able to, let's say, achieve your target. I think that's what I mostly tell my students. And obviously, enjoying all of this is a big part, because at the end of the day, if you're not enjoying what you're working, it's not worth it in my eyes. So yeah, that's what
Oh, so you mentor little kids, or are you like a proper coach?
I'm a coach in a karting team,
Oh, okay.
and it really depends. Like if someone approaches me for mentorship as well, so I do that as well. But as of now, I do coaching for a karting team as well. Actually, this team. Yeah.
Thank you so much once again for giving us this time and opportunity to talk to you. A wonderful experience, getting to know all about FP, getting to know about your journey.
Thank you so much for inviting me as well. And I think it's a great initiative that you guys are taking for basically building a bigger market around, let's say, STEM studies, and obviously F1 in schools. So yeah, I think I really enjoyed the podcast as well. See you guys soon.